5 in a row for Celtic as Martin O'Neill bowed out with a win, and Wilfried Nancy was finally announced as the new Celtic manager. We had drop points from both Hearts and Rangers, so lots for us to discuss today. Scott is here, so are Practical CBT, not literally, but they are supporting the channel. They are your route to great mental health. For Celtic AM listeners, there's an exclusive discount on online courses and coaching sessions. Find the link below to sign up and give it a try. You may have noticed that I am not in my usual surroundings. I did mention yesterday I was away on holiday. Lovely kind of background. It's warm, probably warmer than Celtic Park was for the game. It's a bit of a strange setup today. I'm holding my mic, literally. So we'll hope this works. But let's introduce Scott. Scott, how are you, mate?
Good, mate. Nice to be joining you after yet another win.
Yeah, it was a win, wasn't it? It's just about all we can say. I thought it was a kind of tough watch at times. I don't think I was ever in too much doubt we were going to win the game, but probably not one we're going to remember for too long after doing this.
No, it certainly was just about getting the job done tonight. I think Martin O'Neill referenced that later. They did look a bit leggy tonight. Not the usual energy that we sort of come to expect. But, you know, it's been a hectic schedule. I think other teams in the Premiership are feeling that change in frequency as well. So I think we're better equipped to deal with it than most. So job done, points in the bank. Not too much to be too concerned about, but I'm sure we'll get to the things that we should be concerned about later on. But yeah, a positive day out.
Yeah. Talk us through the team then, because the team was named. It's probably a similar team to what we've seen in the last few games under Martin O'Neill.
Yeah, this looks like his favourite 11 at the moment. But yeah, the usual Donovan, Trusty, Scales, Srirachi at the back, Engels, McGregor and Hatate, and McCarron on the wing, Maeda through the middle and Yang on the other wing. I think we got good service out of that starting 11 again tonight. We certainly had a pretty dominant first half without really probably getting as much on the scoreboard as we should have. But they were hard at it. Hatate looked good again. It's good to have a confident Hatate.
That pass for the first goal
on the field. We haven't seen that for ages.
Brilliant, wasn't it? The pass to Yang was left foot.
Yeah. And yeah, I think for the most part, up until he got subbed, like he was probably one of the leading lights on the field. And yeah, I just a workmanlike performance from Celtic tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right to pick up Hatate. I think he's kind of come onto a game over the past few matches. That pass for the first goal for Yang was excellent. I think everyone saw it coming, but the fact he was able to still pull that off in a kind of crowded penalty box with his weaker foot was, I guess, the kind of quality you need on nights like this when Dundee are there and they're making it stuffy. I thought Dundee were pretty good. I know we weren't great, but at times they kind of moved the ball about quite well, causes a few problems. I think their big chance was Liam Scales' mistake that Simon Murray runs onto and should probably score. They had a couple of chances from set pieces, one late on. But yeah, generally it's just these kind of performances we've seen for as long as we can remember. In the December period, midweek match, the team are playing a lot of matches, as you say. There's not a lot of rotation in the side at the moment. Obviously, they can't really afford to rotate too much due to injuries. But they're finding a way to win, which I think there was no guarantees of that when Martin O'Neill came in. And 7 out of 8 wins, you can't really argue with that. Hatate had a really good move. Was it second half when Engels flicked it to Hatate and he then kind of dragged it past the player and shot with his left foot and the keeper made a good save. So like we did play some good stuff. It was just a bit of a slog.
Yeah, I think the build-up to get into the final third, that was generally really good tonight. It was the finished product. It just wasn't there tonight overall. It's probably some players just guilty of a touch too many or trying to get the perfect angle on the shot or, and they were stacking the box, but you knew they were going to do that. So sometimes it's just a matter of, just taking the shot you can get and hope for a deflection. I mean, Celtic Park looked a bit slippy tonight. I'm guessing it was cold and frosty and dewy and that sort of thing. So, sometimes the ball just needs a funny skip. It'll land somewhere. And, someone can be on the end of it or, takes an unlucky deflection, goes in the net. But, I mean, it's one of the things about Scottish football that people downplay a lot, because I'm a big fan of it, is even a team like Dundee, and they'll stack the box and they'll really frustrate you. They make it difficult. So if you're not on it and if you don't take your chances, they'll pinch it off you. And that goes across the league. And that's one of the things I try and encourage people who want to bag Scottish football all the time, especially since the Premier League is so prevalent here in Australia. Like, embrace the chaos. This is good fun to watch. It's not too robotic, which is what I think the English game is overall, even though the players are so good. Scottish football is good for this sort of stuff. So Celtic had the lion's share of possession. They've had the lion's share of shots, but you can't ever sleep. Unless you're absolutely toweling someone up, you can't ever sleep. And Dundee's one of those teams, and they hurt us last time we played because we slept on them. And we were devoid of confidence and that sort of thing. So, it's a tough night that we got our just desserts.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty much all you can say about that at the moment. We had another injury. Marcelo Sarachi looked pretty gutted going off, which is obviously disappointing for him. He's had some previous injuries. Even Kasper Schmeichel looked like he'd picked something up with one of the challenges that went in, but luckily he was able to continue. So, thankfully someone with like a bin lorry or something's decided to turn up right when I'm recording, which is always what you want. So I'll hold the mic just a little bit closer to my mouth. Unless you've got anything else to say in the actual match, I'm happy to move on to Martin O'Neill and Wilfried Nancy.
I think it was Martin O'Neill's night, so the more time we spend on him, the better.
So, yeah, it was... first of all, I thought a pretty good crowd, and certainly a better crowd than you would normally have expected. I mean, the stadium wasn't full. You could still see some seats, but a better crowd than you would normally get for this kind of game if there was nothing going on with regards to Martin O'Neill or whatever. So that was great. I think fans staying till the end. It was just interesting how Martin O'Neill, he clearly isn't his thing to like kind of take the embrace of the support too much and walk around the pitch and applaud everyone. And I was laughing when I think John Ledwith, the guy's name who does all the interviews, both for Celtic TV and inside the stadium on the PA, and he's asking questions. I think he asked one question, Martin O'Neill basically answered it and thought, I'm off, and John Ledwith kind of chased after him and asked him one more about the fans, and Martin O'Neill gave him like a 6-word answer and charged off again. So yeah, I guess it's he's kind of old-fashioned, isn't he? And he'll feel that like just getting the results and how everyone feels about him is enough. He doesn't actually need to take the acclaim of everyone. But there was also an element of that, and he dragged Sean Maloney and Mark Fotheringham over as well. And I think the players looked quite pleased to see that as well. So that was really nice. And, oh, God, we're going to be so grateful for what he's done here. Possibly at the end of the season, if we win the league, he's going to have played a huge part in that, and not to mention the League Cup as well, potentially.
Yeah, him closing the 8-point gap in the time that he's been here is invaluable, because I sort of feel like if we dropped 1 or 2 games behind, that would have been a bridge too far for us. Given the state of the squad, the way they were playing, the lack of confidence that they had, you're probably compounding issues with, poor performances in Europe and that sort of thing. So he's found a way for the players to find that belief within themselves that they are very good at what they do, that they can get the results even when the chips are down a bit. They're being tested on, the not just the squad depth as in signings, but with the injuries as well, compounding that issue. And they've found ways to win, like the Samiran game where we nick a goal at the end through McGregor. Like, those moments probably don't fall to us if nothing changed. And that's down to Martin O'Neill and the backroom staff, which he went to great pains to put a lot of the praise on. So yeah, like we're back in it now. We're equal top, just behind on goal difference teams around us are dropping points at the moment. Tonight was huge. So the gap opens to those behind us. The gap is closed between us and Hearts, and that's all. That's the best case scenario I think you could have asked for when Martin O'Neill came back in.
I think you do need to remind yourself, because things change so quickly, what he was coming into, like the disaster off the pitch that clearly still exists to a very real extent, but has probably been calmed a good bit by what he's been able to do on the pitch. But he was coming into a club who'd just had a manager resign, had the minority principal shareholder, whatever they called Dermot Desmond, slagging off the manager, basically saying he was at fault for everything recently. And we had a team that I think had lost maybe 3 away games in a row, had just lost to Hearts, had lost to Dundee prior to that. Even the games we were winning weren't particularly convincing. We had a cup semi coming up against Rangers that, I'll be honest, and I think I said at the time, I was kind of dreading. I felt under Brendan Rodgers, the way the team was going, I think we might have lost that. Now, we might not have, because I don't think Rangers are particularly good, and we will come on to that. But Martin O'Neill to win that game, albeit on extra time, was excellent. I think if you were to ask him pick out one game from this 8-game run, I think it would be the Feyenoord away game. I think, he mentioned that yesterday. I feel like for him that was a kind of big dog result for us, our first European away win in like 4 years. A huge effort. So to do all that and to take care of all the other games, to turn the style on in a couple of the home games, was it Falkirk and Kilmarnock? I think we scored 4 goals. To win a number of the other away games as well. It really has been an immense effort from him. And I mean, I knew Martin O'Neill was a good manager, but I didn't really get to follow the team in his initial days. But I think to actually, for guys and girls my age and even younger, to get to actually witness a bit of Martin O'Neill magic, even all of these years on. I mean, the guy's in his 70s and he's come in and he's transformed their season. And that's not overstating it, given where we were and where we are now. He's revived our Europa League hopes. He's taken us to the cup final, which, as I say, was no gimme against Rangers. The way we were playing, and I know we're not top, but we're joint top, and suddenly we're all feeling really good about our chances to win the league. So, and yet he's not kind of wanting too much credit. He's just going to head away back down to London, probably as if nothing has happened, back to his old life. I wonder how he feels about it, though. I think he's mentioned that it's been quite a bit of a kind of fever dream almost, being at Celtic, and he kind of, I'm guessing he'll probably go back to his old life down south, and he'll probably wonder if that ever actually even happened. But it has happened. To be fair, a lot of us might feel like that in a number of years' time. We might go, God, remember Martin O'Neill came back for 8 games and was still absolutely unbelievable.
I'm glad the younger support has had a taste of Martin O'Neill, because now, all the stories that you probably would have heard from the generations before, they weren't nonsense, Like, I mean, there's the big stories about the big results in Europe, getting the UEFA Cup final, winning trebles. Like, you would have gone, oh, sure, but how good was it? And this is just a little taste of what that time was like. And I'm glad more people have got to experience it, because it's glorious. Like that final result, I don't think I've felt that good about Celtic since we lost to Bayern, and it's weird to feel good about a loss. But like, it was the way we played, the way we went about it, and this time we got a big result. I know Feyenoord are struggling in Holland, but that's a big result where we were in our year, where the squad's at, the off-field stuff. Like that buries most clubs. And Martin O'Neill's been able to come in and get a result like that. And it had carryover into the league as well, So that's what he was capable of. So imagine in his prime, or you don't have to imagine, those of us who were there, but the young guys, imagine what that was like when it was every week. And for 5 years, it was Martin O'Neill and the things he was able to achieve. So I'm glad everyone else got to get a taste of it, because it's brilliant. It's sad to say goodbye to him again, because I was shattered the first time. And this time, not so shattered, but, I kind of love it. Like modern football, it has its really good stuff, but it has stuff that it lacks. And Martin O'Neill brought a bit of what football lacks with personality and offbeat humor and that sort of thing, just to line up, because football is meant to be fun as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to know, and I guess time will kind of only tell us this, but when you think of Martin O'Neill in years to come, you'll still obviously go to his first spell, his real spell when he had all that success. But I think people alongside that will probably mention, and he came back when we were really struggling and kind of revived that season, which, as I say, I don't think is overstating it. So I think this, as much as obviously it's two very different things, I think this is clearly, these last 8 games have been a part of Martin O'Neill's Celtic story, and I think there is no doubt. And if you said 2 or 3 months ago, would it be possible for Martin O'Neill to enhance his legacy further? I genuinely think he has, given the fact he's come back all of these years later and still shown us he's got the magic. If we do win the league, Celtic, I mean, I would assume that and hope they would do this. They need to get Martin O'Neill bringing the trophy out to Wilfried Nancy, and Martin O'Neill needs to be part of this. But obviously, we can have that debate further down the line. Just one wee note on Martin O'Neill. This is going into the Wilfried Nancy announcement. There's a quote from Dermot Desmond that people may or may not have seen. Dermot Desmond said, "I will always hold Martin in such high regard for what he has done for Celtic and for what he is as a man of such professionalism and integrity, and someone who undoubtedly will always have the best interests of Celtic in his heart." So I wondered if that was a yet another dig at Brendan Rodgers. Just in terms of Wilfried Nancy, so he was announced, I think, a little bit before kickoff of the game last night. I woke up to the news. Celtic Football Club's delighted to announce the appointment of Wilfried Nancy as its new football manager on a 2.5-year contract, so a 2.5-year deal. Wilfred will begin his new role on December the 4th, which is today. Also, Columbus Crew have announced that he's left them in their statement. They say, as part of the deal, assistant coach Kwame Ampadu, assistant coach and fitness coach Yul Gwegen, and video performance coach Maxime Chalier, who were also under contract with Columbus, will join Nancy in Glasgow. So Kwame Ampadu, Jules Gwegen and Maxime Chalier all coming with Wilfried Nancy to Glasgow. I guess we'll get confirmation today, you would think, on Wilfried Nancy's full management team. Quotes from Wilfried Nancy, it's a wee bit long, but I'll just go through it. The first quotes we have from our new manager, he said, "I am so happy to be named Celtic manager. It's a massive honour for myself and my family. Before I say anything else, I want to do one thing. I want to thank the great Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney for all they have done in recent weeks with the team. The job they have done has been fantastic." I'm just thinking straight away, thanking Sean Maloney. Does that mean maybe Sean Maloney's not going to be part of things? He might go back to his old role. Not sure. "These guys have given so much to the club across so many years, and I know our fans, like me, all recognise the brilliant job they have done during this recent period. They have my total respect and my total gratitude. I hope to meet them both very soon and thank them personally. Now it's up to me to carry on this great work and carry our great club forward, and I can't wait to get going and become part of such a brilliant institution. Celtic is one of the world's proper football clubs, real atmosphere and heart and soul, real high standards and real demands, which I am ready for. I know the history, I know the values of Celtic, and I know what is expected of me on this journey. I know what Celtic means to so many people, and my number one aim will be simple: to give our fans a strong, exciting, attacking, winning football team. He's promising a lot here that they can be so proud of. I look forward to seeing all our fans very soon, and I hope we can enjoy some great moments together. Michael Nicholson, who has spoken. I know you need to pull yourself off the ground there, Scott. Shock horror. He says, "We have been aware of Wilfred and his quality of work for some time. He was our number one candidate when we began the process of appointing a new manager, and we are delighted that he has agreed to join the club." So it's finally official.
Yep, it's Facebook official, that's for sure. No, I'm looking forward to. I'm really excited about this next chapter. I want to see what Wilfried Nancy will get our team to play like. I don't expect him to play the back three yet.
Really?
I think he'll he'll let that evolve. I think we may see bits of it. I don't think we'll see it against Haas, but I think, when the opportunity is there, we'll see a bit of what he's trying to do in game. But I think that's going to be such a change for the players. Like, I don't think he'll just come in Thursday and expect them to pull that off in a big game against Hearts on Sunday. So we'll see how that evolves. He might need more time for when he gets his own style of player in too in January. So, well, look, I'm excited by it. I'm not Ange excited, but I am very excited. And we'll see what the future brings. Like, he's saying all the right things. I'm glad that he's up for it, and like the confidence to come through and say, "Winning, we're going to be a winning team." That's not something you hear from a lot of managers when they just put one foot through the door. So he's very confident in himself and what his backroom team will be able to bring to the club. So, big game on Sunday. Really looking forward to it. I had more dread last time. This time, I reckon we'll play them off the park. So, I think everyone will be up for that.
Yeah, it's just good that it's official now and we can kick on. I've not seen this confirmed, but I'm assuming we're going to have press conferences today, possibly tomorrow. I did hear that Wilfried Nancy was still in London on Wednesday night, so I don't think he's actually, as much as there was some reporting saying that he was back up in Glasgow already, I believe he was still down in London. I'm not sure, because the club were very clear in the statement that he starts on December the 4th. I think I read somewhere that maybe his Columbus Crew contract had started on December the 5th, so maybe there's some sort of kind of contractual thing where it's like a year on almost, that he can, start working for Celtic. So maybe that's why he wasn't like at the game tonight. But certainly he was in London on Wednesday night, so that's clearly, he wasn't at the game. Because I did think it was interesting the club announced it before, but then that he wasn't unveiled at halftime or something like that. But the good thing about this, I guess, and it's also going to make it difficult for Wilfried Nancy. He's not got a lot of time in the training ground to work with the players, but I guess from a fan point of view, we don't have to wait a long time to see his team in action. That way with Ange, we had to wait a number of weeks until we even got a pre-season match, and that's usually the case with any new manager. And there's this kind of slow build-up, whereas we're in a bit of a rare situation here. I think it's the first time in 30 years that Celtic have appointed a permanent manager during the course of a season, which is a hell of a record, but it means that we've got this kind of strange feeling where you have a new permanent manager coming in and their first game is in 2-3 days' time. So, Sunday just needs to turn up and win, basically, right away. And it's going to be interesting. I think you're right. Clearly we're not going to see a Wilfried Nancy looking team right away, but I think there's aspects of it that you can see. I remember asking Ange Postecoglou, how long will it take for us to see an Ange team playing, and this is obviously with all the time in the training ground, and he said you're not going to see it first game, but there are certain things that you'll notice. So I think it'll be similar under Wilfried Nancy. Big game on Sunday, chance to go top of the league. Results tonight went our way. We're the only team to win tonight in the Premiership, Scott. We had 4 other draws. Aberdeen 3, St Mirren 3. St Mirren scored a late goal in that. I think it was 99th minute. Dundee United 2, Rangers 2. We had so I'm on holiday here, and there's I need to admit there's a Rangers fan away with me as well. So we had the 2 TVs out. Probably shouldn't say this to the Airbnb hosts in case they're watching, but we dragged the TV from the bedroom upstairs, put it downstairs, and had both games side by side. So I did see a bit of the Rangers game as well, and they were very fortunate, I think, in the end to get a draw. They got a penalty late on, and Dundee United got denied a penalty that was on 100% a handball from the Rangers player. So they got away with one, but they did draw. They dropped more points. Falkirk 0, Motherwell 0. And Hearts 1, Kilmarnock 1. Hearts conceded a really late goal, and I think they're 4 now without a win. So they've collapsed big time, and we're now joint on points with them. We have a game in hand in them, and we have them at our place on Sunday. So with all of that happening, as I say, Rangers just looking like they're not going to go on a consistent run at all, and they're already 9 points behind us. You have to be feeling good about the prospect of 5 in a row.
Yeah, I even in the darkest times, I still thought the league was gettable, but that came with caveats. Now it's all in front of us. We'll get reinforcements in January because they'll back Nancy for at least 2 windows. So I'm confident that with what he's accomplished and how he builds his teams, we'll get some of that in January, which will be a breath of fresh air for Celtic. And maybe some of the guys who maybe were everything but out the door last, we'll say goodbye to them, and we'll get some fresh energy and legs and ways of play that, the support can really get behind, and the results will follow. The chaos of Scottish football again threw up those results tonight. The chaos of VAR has reared its ugly head again, and I see that there's some stuff in the works you alluded to in yesterday's video about possible changes to VAR for the World Cup. One thing that I know they're trialling here in Australia is in the Australian Championship, which is our foray into a possible second division, is the challenge card. So the managers get the challenge, one challenge per half. And I've yet to see a successful challenge in the games I've watched, probably because there's only 6 cameras at a game. But,
just like Scottish football.
Sorry?
Just like Scottish football.
Yeah, just like Scottish football. No one knows what a handball is anymore.
Just like Scottish football.
Now we don't. Just like Scottish football. So, I think, I don't know, maybe we have to tie hands behind backs or something for the whole game, and no one can use their arms to even run properly. So, it's almost like get your popcorn and maybe like a stiff drink, watch what the referees come out and justify why a decision was paid and why not, because it's going to be as inconsistent between episodes for them as the decisions on field. So crazy times, but winners are grinners, the rest can please themselves. I think we get to put Hearts behind us very soon. I'm really confident going into the weekend, as long as we don't pick up any more injuries, I suppose. But looking forward to this Sunday.
Yeah. Hoping to have some sort of build-up to the Hearts game, although, as I reiterate, I am on holiday at the moment. Do have one video that's another insight video on Wilfried Nancy. I spoke to a couple of great guys from one of the Columbus Crew podcasts. That might go out tomorrow. It might be Saturday. Just depends on like press conference and all of that stuff. But I'm hoping to have a couple of videos up ahead of the Hearts game. But if that doesn't happen, it's because I'm on holiday. Have I mentioned I'm on holiday? Better go and grab a beer. We'll let Scott go. We'll let all of you go, and I'll catch up with you very soon.